Yeah, let's get started. So welcome to the second Prospel Philippines Career Jumpstart Session 2021. This is the health industry session, all right? My name is Zab. I'll be your moderator for today's session along with our support team. Hi, Christine. And joining me are some of the top employers, not only here in the Philippines, but their presence is well known globally as well. So before I introduce them, just some few reminders from our attendees, from our audience, that you could view their profile and profile. So learn, read their stories, more about them and their opportunities to offer at ph.prospel.com. You will be able to see that here. And just to get you on board, our program will consist of a panel discussion, which is we'll be conducting now, followed by a short question and answer portion, all right? Then two speakers will be coming from our organization panelists. Will be sharing some insights, experience, stories, and advices for you as a young talent. So this will be followed by another question and answer at the end of each speaker, all right? So I could see that we have a lot of audience today coming in from different universities. I would like to give a recognition to all the partner universities joining us today as well. Thank you so much. And being part of this event will give your students, candidates, the graduates, a great head start for a career industry that you are trying to get a part of. All right. So let's get started. Basically, just the first question that is very generalized is, please introduce yourself, describe what your organization does. But just want to introduce first, we have a marketeer with over 16 years of experience in the business processing outsourcing. So financial services and theatrical event production, all right? So she has also launched a brand of advertising campaigns for the top BPO companies like Convergys Now and Teleperformance. She is also a theater actor and a producer under Black Table Productions. So please, let me introduce you from Shearwater Health, Miss Victoria Alcantara. Hi, Miss Victoria. Please introduce yourself and describe what your organization does.
Hi, good morning. I'm Victoria Alcantara. I'm currently sourcing manager for Shearwater Health Philippines. And as I mentioned, I am in the BPO industry. We are actually a CPO company. We are a provider of a wide range of clinical process outsourcing. We combine clinical outsourcing expertise with disciplined business practices. What we are is one of the largest employers here of clinicians for over 50 years here in the Philippines, with strong connections also with hospitals and universities. What I do is I sell jobs. I sell Shearwater opportunities to professionals, healthcare professionals, experienced and fresh ones. And that's true also. I'm also a theater actor under Black Table Productions. I produce theater shows, concerts, and event production. Thank you, Zap, for the introduction.
Thank you so much, Miss Victoria. And now, next we have a representative of a health institution who has been recognized as the Hospital of the Year and the Customer Service Initiative of the Year by Healthcare Asia Awards 2020. The department head, of Medical City Pharmacy Department, officer in charge, and also PRC Board of Pharmacy, Honorary Anthony Aldrin C. Santiago. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Zab. How are you?
Doing
good
great.
Morning. Good morning and magandang umaga sa ating lahat. I'm Aldrin Santiago. I am the chief pharmacist of the Medical City in Pasig. The Medical City is a tertiary care hospital. We're actually the biggest healthcare network operating in using one brand. So the network is composed of the main hospital here in Pasig and 4 other hospitals in Pangasinan, in Clark, Pampanga, in South Luzon, and Iloilo. And of course, you may have visited or seen our clinics. We have about 50 clinics all over the Philippines, mainly in Metro Manila and select provinces. We're 54 years old in the industry, And of course, mainly we cater to patients who would need specialized care. We're a JCI accredited hospital, so in terms of quality, in terms of accreditation, we would be at par with a lot of different JCI hospitals all over the world. So mainly we would look after everyone's health if you would need such care in a hospital setting.
Right. Thank you so much, Sir Aldrin. And yeah, not last and not the least, moving forward with the company, founded in 2017 as a fully owned subsidiary of Anthem Inc., with over 20,000 associates worldwide, driving digital transformation that help health insurers reduce costs, improve science delivery. Their representative, Ms. Marianne Lailani Saniza. How are you, Ms. Myla?
Hi, I'm great, and good morning, everyone. So my name is, well, I go by Myla. I head the talent acquisition team for Legato Health Technology. So what is Legato? It is a healthcare managed services and solutions company that specializes in utilizing digital tools to streamline and optimize information technology and business operations for healthcare organizations. Um, Technically, we are empowered by it, Legato's mission to improve lives and communities and to simplify healthcare and we're also equipped with Legato's core values, which includes leadership, community, integrity, agility, and diversity.
All right. Wow. Thank you so much for all of the introductions. And I must say, this is a really wonderful lineup. And I know how the audience are eager to know more about the organization and how to be part of it. So moving forward to the next questions. Are you ready, everyone? So yeah, the question is, what is the most important piece of advice you'd give to the students or the young talents now aspiring to work for an organization with this kind of sector, in this kind of sector? Please, if I may, let us first start with Honorary Aldrin Santiago, if you could, please.
Well, in terms of the advice, I would like to put it because we're in the healthcare industry, so there's a lot of care that needs to be provided. So you need the three C's. The first C would be on competency. Mainly, we're composed of healthcare professionals and of course other support services. So if you're a doctor, you're a nurse, you're other allied healthcare professional. So mainly, it's very important you're competent in what you're doing because mainly we need the expertise of everyone to care for the patient. The other C would be collaboration because we're one institution. It's very important that we establish that the relationship and the coordinated care for the patient. And the last C that needs to be there as an ingredient for you to be able to provide that care would be compassion. I know it's not something that you can teach, it's something that you have to develop. So if you're planning to work in a healthcare industry, you need to have competency, collaborative spirit, and compassion.
Well, I totally agree with that, Sir Aldrin. And that is really good insight, having that three C's, that competencies, the collaboration and the compassion. And I totally agree with you that there's always something that you cannot teach. And it's something that you need to acquire based on experience and aptitude from the environment that you got and basically on all the people surrounds you, right? So yeah, please, if I may, Miss Victoria. So how about you? What is the most important piece of advice you could give to these young talents now?
I'd have to agree with Sir Aldrin. While while us professionals work on the healthcare industry, it's already a given that you have the skills because this is a very niche role. You have to have that background in education and nursing or any medical related course to be in it. But what sets you off is really your soft skills. This is an industry where there should all really be care. And apart from that, there's a huge opportunity for you to grow. That's why there should also be an opportunity for you to be self-motivated. as a starter, we all know fresh graduates are really excited to start off their career. We've all been there where you graduate and you just want to start over. You're super excited, but part of the excitement is also being motivated. Second is flexibility. Both in a CPO setup and in the hospital, you have to be flexible. You have to be able to manage your time. You have to be always energized and be present for a client or for a patient. So that's one. That's another. And lastly, there's a huge need for talent who has empathy and emotional intelligence. For those are soft skills, but these are skills that's needed in a healthcare industry for you to be able to thrive and be able to really be of service, to your client, to your patient, and to the organization. That would really make you stand out for the rest.
Yeah, I actually have some few follow-up questions, but let's leave that to that. But yes, the point of having be flexible or having an emotional intelligence that is you are capable of sharing with the other people working with the health industry is really a factor on that. It's which is I really am could relate to that, and being self-motivated as a young talent eager to work as fast as they can, be motivated is really important. So yeah, thank you so much for that insight, Miss Victoria. And moving on, Miss Myla, how about you? What do you think? What kind of advice
Okay.
would you share?
Maybe they all, Avic and Sir Aldrin, actually made very good points. But one thing I can add is when you're aspiring for work and you speak with your future employer, one very important thing is to be honest and highlight your other skills, because right now, have to really admit, employers would be looking for relevant work experience, and it really stands out to us. But other factors such as your ambition, your drive, your energy, commitment to the role, and an understanding of the employer will also help boost your chances of getting hired. There could be a whole host of reasons why you have minimal experience, but it is what you can offer in the future that employers would be looking at. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, it's really good. Be honest and highlight your other skills. So young talents, just to summarize it up, remember the three C's: the competencies, the collaboration, and the compassion. Coming from Sir Adrian, and so for Miss Victoria, you need to be self-motivated, flexible, have emotional intelligence, that kind of empathy to work with. And from Miss Myla, just be honest, highlight your other skills, and yeah, eventually we'll work with you, and eventually that will be the reason to get you hired. So thank you so much for all of the insights, everyone. And I'm sure this is something most of our audience would like to know more about is in your organization, what are you looking for in an application? So these young talents are really looking for an opportunity or a career that could jumpstart their career, right? So what do students need to show up to progress to the next round? And if I may, please, I would love to start with Ms. Myla on this round, please. Can you share us your thoughts?
Okay. Right. So knowing that you're highlighting your your other skills, right? We would also be looking for, I mean, after the first interview, one of the things that we would be looking for is evidence of your capability to build relationships. So I would usually look for your ability to build strong relationships, not with just with your patients or your clients, but also with your colleagues. The second thing that would really stand out to me would be your ability to deal with challenges. Challenges such as meeting deadlines and overcoming problems that arise often in the work environment. The third one is being able to deliver successful outcomes. So you need to ensure that, or ensure your employers or your interviewers that you can deliver your work on time to a high quality. So just three things that you need to keep in mind also um, when you progress to the next round.
All right, this was really good advice, I must say. Building relationships, about the ability to overcome any challenges, which for me actually challenges makes everyone grow, learn something. So it's really one way to uh, go get through it, I guess. So please, I would love to hear more about it, Sir Aldrin. How about you? What do you look
Uh,
for an application for the students?
well, a job fit is very important in terms of your qualification fitting the minimum requirements of the institution. And again, I mentioned earlier about the need for competent individuals to take charge or be responsible for a particular position. So when you talk about competency mainly, there are two lifelong competencies, as they say. You have your technical competency. So this the knowledge, the skill, the attitude that you have. And the second very important competency is the ethical competency, and that's about integrity. That's about how you do your job. So for the first one, mainly that's the first that would be assessed or evaluated by our human resource division and also by the unit, for example, pharmacy. So mainly we look at their credentials in terms of them finishing a particular degree. And of course, if it's a licensed profession like pharmacy, you need to pass the board exam. So mainly that's the minimum standard in terms of your technical competency. But of course, you would like to progress. So learning would not stop after graduating and after passing the board. So you would like to see the candidate, the staff, grow within the organization. As the organization grows with the staff should grow with the organization as well. So very important, if you like to reach the next level, if you would become a regular employee. So like Myla mentioned, passion, integrity, and a lot of those skills would be very important in considering you for going to the next level. So again, technical competency and ethical competency would be very important in terms of your initial evaluation and eventually progressing within the organization.
Well, thank you so much for that, sir. That is really well said in a way that a lot of talents now forgot that they need that kind of competencies, especially the ethical one, besides the being qualified into the technical part that you are fitting to the role itself. Sometimes they just, yeah, I just wanted to get a job, so let's just get this over with or push it through, even though they don't really have that kind of competency. So yeah, that's really good, sir. How about you, Miss Victoria? What can you say, please?
Well, for one, the opportunity for you to get to the door is really if your resume speaks for yourself. Nowadays, as a recruiter, we have an intensive experience of knowing candidates who are totally different from their resumes. As a fresh graduate, you would be really excited to put in all of your experiences on that paper. And for me, I want to remind the fresh graduates that's the first point to get to the door. It's free to get to an interview. It's not exactly gonna land you a job, but when we do look into a resume, especially for fresh graduates, we want to also see experience beyond your academics. If you're good in school, that's really great. But what else can you do outside of work? Us are in Shearwater as an employer, we look for skills. We hire nurses. We hire registered nurses. We also require candidates to have certification for medical coding roles. Primarily, we need candidates who are licensed nurses. But other than that, we also look for nurses who have the experience even during their internship. At the same time, nurses who have hobbies. Someone who also has a potential to grow within and grow personally, because having a career is just half of the role that you have in your life. So we also want to know what can you impart? What hobby do you have? What other skills can you impart as a nurse? We would want to know during interview if you have advocacies. What are you into? Are you a pet lover? Are you into staying healthy, getting healthy? Because when you have those discussions, we also gauge someone's competency in terms of if you're sociable, if you are able to communicate better. At least for what I noticed during interviews for fresh graduates, they just say what's in the resume. But we know that already. We've seen your resume, we've seen the paper, and what we look for are those skills, those experiences, and we want to hear from them. In the CPO industry, you really have to be able to communicate well. You have to be able to communicate well, not just to your employees, but when you land a job, you really need to communicate. So it's important that you are able to enunciate that, you're able to describe, you're able to create that communication where you are understandable. So that's also one thing. I think lastly, with applications, especially for fresh graduates, it helps that you have extracurricular activities that you can share to your employers. While you have probably applied in a lot of companies apart from, say, for example, Legato or Medical City and Shearwater. But in between that, what have you been doing to increase that skills? What have you been doing outside of school to increase that experience? Are you into a nonprofit organization, helping kids? Those things. Again, I go back to what we do as an industry. We provide care, healthcare. So you have to fill that half as well.
Wow, that's a really good insight, Miss Victoria. Having a resume space for yourself you're really right about that. That sometimes a lot of candidates forget that you need to tell more about or what's not in the paper already, because you could already see that. Some experiences or share some stories on what made you decide being there in front of the recruiter, what made you apply, and what are the key competencies that you have that you could offer for a student or for the company, right? And that is really unique point of view also to hear that you also value the hobbies. On the outside, somehow it is a very external point of view that you value their hobbies, the extracurricular activities that they could share with an organization. And candidates, young talents, please always keep that in mind, because those advices are something that would really help you up to jumpstart your career. And speaking from experience myself, if I do have that kind of advices when I was young, and that will really help me up, So yeah, moving forward, I guess we could move forward to the next question, if I may. For this question, for the students who already landed a job with you, let's say they are already part of your organization, right? What kind of advice or help you will be giving them to survive their first year or thrive for their first year? What do you think the things they should not do? So if I may, please, I would love for you to start, Ms. Victoria. Can you share your thoughts, please?
With the what they shouldn't do, I don't have to itemize them. That's Googleable. There's some BuzzFeed worth of list of things that what you shouldn't do. But what you should do is show up. It's the best thing that you can do every day. You show up. You show up with that energy to be of service, and to be of service to people and to yourself. Most of our employees are very, very dedicated employees. They have experience work in hospitals. So they have kind of acquired that experience of really being on time, being stretched. So the best thing that you can do really on a daily at work is show up. Now that's the first thing, but also the hardest thing, especially when you are pressured at work. You might wake up a day wherein you've rendered, say, 12 hours with overtime, more than that, and you feel like the next day you're really tired and you feel like really lazy to show up. But that's one of the things that can get you ahead. Being able to have that commitment to be of service and to be there for both your client and for your colleagues also. You're not working for the organization. You work with people, actual humans, who also expects you to show up and to be at your best. So for fresh graduates, again, you will be really excited to start off a job, but at some point you would feel really tired and stressed.
Frustrated, yeah.
So just keep that in mind. You have to be of service to other people as well. So part of that is being there.
All right. Yeah, it's really important. I agree with you. It's really important just to be there. Your presence affects everything. And mind your colleagues because, for example, you're not there and they have to shoulder all the workload. You need to know that there's always teamwork in all organizations that you'll be working for. And yeah, I would love to hear more about it. Can you share your thoughts about it, Miss Myla? What about you?
Yeah. On top of showing off. And I also would rather not tell you what you shouldn't do. Yeah, because it's actually already it's already there. You already know what you shouldn't be doing. But what they should also keep in mind is that it's important to stay focused on your career goals and aspirations. Let your experiences teach, guide, and propel you into your future path. Remember that your mistakes can provide you with valuable experience and knowledge in facing similar situations later on. So, if it comes to facing, or if you find yourself in a discouraging situation, such as, I don't know, a lot of things like an unsatisfying job or maybe a strict manager, remember to focus on the positives. Know that these experiences can shape you to become a stronger working professional in your field.
Yeah, I totally agree with that as well. Learn from your mistakes. In a way, you could just say that, yeah, just make a mistake and just learn something about it and move forward after that. Because mistakes really put us in a spot where we could grow, So it's a really matter of what can you do about it. And yeah, please, Sir Aldrin, what are your thoughts about it? I know that you have a lot of insights that you could share in terms of the experience that you had and being in that kind of position.
Zab, earlier, I talked about the three C's for anyone who would like to go to a healthcare industry, like in the hospital. For one to survive and thrive, I would like to would like to emphasize three R's.
Three R's.
The first R would be about being resilient. And adaptability is very important. As Victoria mentioned, just show up, never give up. Especially if it's your first job. I'm sure there would be some rough times. There would be a learning curve. So it's very important for one to be resilient and adaptable. The second R would be relational. Relational, if I may use the vernacular, walang personalan, trabaho lang. But really, when you talk about work, there should be a personal touch involved. Personal touch with your co-workers, and definitely personal touch with your patient. That's where compassion is. That's where you would build that rapport with both your co-workers and with the patient. So relational is very important. And I was reminded earlier by Victoria about communication. So that's very important in building that relationship. You have to communicate effectively for everyone to be in the same direction. So that's the second R, relational. The third R would be relearning, learning, and probably unlearning. It's very different in a classroom setting and in the actual work experience. Really, there's a lot of concept that would be something that would be new for everyone, especially now that we're in the new normal or the next normal. So a lot of different variables have have been totally new. So change is very important. That's why learning should be something that would be embedded in all our DNAs, because we should be not only lifelong learner, but life-wide. So not only the long side, but the wide side, meaning those that you would encounter on a daily basis. Especially when you work in a hospital, there's a lot of variables that may happen. So you have to be open to these occurrences. You charge the experience. You may fail at times, but you use that failure or challenges to make you a better, not only as a better professional, but make you a better person. So those are things that I think would be very important: resilience, relational, and relearning, unlearning, and learning.
Wow. We really do learn a lot from you, Sir Aldrin, about the 3R, being resilient, relational, and relearning all the things that you could do and what you cannot do. So it's really good insight, if I must say, because a lot of young talents now forget that they needed to adapt in a lot of things. And it's true that you need to build the network, that personal touch that everyone could relate, right? So yeah, moving forward, please, for this question, I'll be providing you. I would love to know, I'm sure this is something that a lot of candidates would also love to know more about the organization in terms of the recruitment process, or the vacancies or job opportunities that you could have, how your organization could offer, or what could your organization could offer, or anything that the organization has a lot or in stake for the young candidates. So if I may, Ms. Victoria, if you could start in terms of what does Shearwater offer for young talents, or the recruitment process, or opportunities that they have in their organization, and where they could find it. Yes.
I guess I'll start off with the talent we are looking for. So primarily, we really hire registered nurses, Philippine registered nurses, who are capable of also doing back office work. The CPO industry is the support group of the people at the hospital, the nurses at the hospital. So one of the key role that we're also looking for, apart from the nurses, are medical coders. These are outpatient coders, inpatient coders, risk adjustment, home health coders. We also have other medical related professionals who look for pharmacists also, clinical research associates, and very recently we're actually opening our organization for nurses, graduate of nurses who have experience in the BPO industry, who have worked in a healthcare program, someone who is really familiar with the setup in the hospitals and clinical. What we look for are one with license, registered license for Philippine nursing, and a US license as well. For coders, you have to be a registered medical coder. You could have a CPC, CIC, or COC license. For fresh graduates, at least a graduate. No, you have to be a graduate of nursing for you to qualify. That's one of our basic qualifications. How we process candidates now is virtually now. No, we have improved our recruiting process with the technology and the modern times, not just because also it's COVID, but we understand that we need to be able to communicate in all of in all of our recruiting processes. So at least for our pre-screening, we no longer call them. The old times is where we give them a phone call, and then we ask you about what's exactly in your resume, which will take about 20 to 30 minutes of your time. Now we are doing pre-screening virtually, which would just only take 10 minutes. We just lodge in our website, or you can actually just visit our Facebook page and just browse through the Facebook jobs to see all of the available roles, and you can click the pre-screening there. And Sherry, who's actually our AI recruiter, will spend about 10 minutes just verifying your qualification. And for fresh graduates looking for careers, time is really important. So we know that. So while we already have your resume, we just need to verify a couple of information. Like, syempre, if you have valid license, no, if you have a current PRC license, or if you're comfortable with the work setup currently, because for the last 2 years we are working remotely, but of course we want to go back to the way we are, where we are all in the office. So we also want to know that if you are looking for a temporary work from home, because at some point we want to be able to collaborate face to face. We also want to verify if you are amenable with a setup like us in the CPO, especially if you are thinking, what's that different with BPO industry? It's like a call center lang. We are a clinical process. Think of it as the support team of the nurses at the hospital. One thing that what we are, Legato and Shearwater, we are a company who supports those hospitals. We are needed in those hospitals. We are working at the background, but they are also one of the key important people who make sure that data is complete and accurate. And those are jobs also of nurses. Actually, when I joined the CPO industry, it was also new to me, because I came from a BPO background, and I have that same thinking. What's this different? What is different from a BPO to CPO setup? For one, we work with hospitals, so you really have to have expertise and knowledge of how a hospital setup works. Second is that expertise comes also with the knowledge that you have learned in school, which in this case, if you're a nursing graduate, you would really be able to use it. That's one of the key difference of being in a CPO industry. You really get to use what you have learned in school. And also it's a career for you if you really want to dive in the healthcare sphere. You might be thinking nurses are just on site, doing ER work or OP work, no. But the role that we have in Shearwater plays an important role to support those nurses who are in the ER, even doctors. So it's an experience, and an exciting experience for you as a nurse, especially if you're starting off. So I go back to the process. So after that pre-screening, you get to have an interview with one of our recruiters, in which case, of course, this is where the skills come in. No? Ibibida mo na ngayon yung mga experience mo, your extracurricular activities. We want to see your soft skills during that interview. And then if we see that you're fit in terms of behavior, the fit to the role and to the organization, that's where you get to go through an exam. You go through a series of exams, just take about siguro mga an hour. And then once you are okay, you go through the final interview and then job offer. So all in all, if you're going through the process, it would only take about 24 to 48 hours from the time that you have submitted your resume to you being offered a role in the organization.
All right.
That's my long answer.
No, it's really okay, Miss Victoria. Thank you so much for that. I believe that all of the candidates are really eager to learn more about each and every one of you. So, candidates, please, if you do have any questions, please just pop it up in the question and answer portion. We will be able to answer that after this panel session. All right. So, how about you, Sir Aldrin? What are the opportunities that are available for the young talents now we have here?
Well, for the medical city, we are embarking on a very exciting direction. Just recently, since we're a network of healthcare facilities, hospitals, and clinics, we're looking into having the TMC brand to be TMC Care anytime, anywhere. Okay, so we're just more than a hospital because we're bringing care outside of the institution to the home of the patient where they would conveniently be at, especially this time. So you're looking at a very broad area where you can practice. So in terms of the requirement, of course, like any other organization, the key would be the people. The key would be the human resource in how we can execute this particular direction. Of course, again, being in a healthcare industry, we would be looking for those in the medical and allied health profession, doctors, nurses, pharmacists, dietitian, and other respiratory therapists and other licensed professional. And again, they would have a lot of different areas where they can grow as, for example, as a nurse or as a pharmacist. We have a various institutes within the hospital. So you can venture into a specialization in cardiology, in chemo, in acute care, like in the ER or in the ICU for critical care. You can venture into pediatrics, in transplant. So in terms of progression, you would develop yourself, not necessarily financially, but really in terms of fulfillment in your particular chosen field. There will be a lot of opportunities that would be in store for those that would apply and eventually accepted and eventually become regular in the institution. Given the broad requirement, again, by the general public, whether you're a patient or you are on the wellness aspect in terms of maintaining health. So those are areas where, in terms of opportunities, we would be able to offer that. I think at the end of the day, when you talk about really work per se, you have to eventually find your purpose in terms of doing it. More than just perhaps on the pleasure side in terms of compensation. But at the end of the day, you would need to find where you are fitted and where you would see your purpose in terms of how you can make a difference, how you can serve others, or perhaps what you see to be your mission in life. That's quite deep, but it's something that we would see in most of those who stay, for example, in the hospital, even though they're caring for COVID patient. There would be that sense of fulfillment because they're able to do what they want to do with passion and having pride in what they're doing. So I think, well, the general recruitment process will be standard, but it's really finding yourself in the particular job or the particular area where you see yourself growing in so many different aspects.
It's really great to know about the vision or the plan of TMC, especially the TMC Care Anytime, Anywhere. It's actually first time hearing about it. And thank you so much for sharing it for us, Sir Aldrin. I believe all of the candidates has really thankful in terms of sharing that information. And how about you, Miss Myla? What opportunities do you have for the student or for the organizations?
Okay, so we have several openings and opportunities uh, for new grads and as well as experienced folks. Similar to Shearwater, what we do have is the extension of the nurses and doctors and hospitals. We actually help them out. So we have the provider services, we have member services, we also hire for registered nurses. Um, we also look for US registered nurses. If you're not a US registered nurse, we also have an opportunity for you to join our USRN Academy, wherein we would be sponsoring your training and also having you go through a rigorous, well, it's very rigorous because, of course, we would want you to pass, right? So you need to really make sure that, well, you show up. As what Avik mentioned, and also do your part and study, right? Because it won't be handed to you on a silver plate. You really have to work hard for it. IT roles, customer service. Technically, Legato has a lot of openings that, if you feel that you want to help out the provider side, then yes, we have an opening for you. If you want to help out the member side, we also have an opening for you. Technically, um, we have a lot. As for the uh, processing, or once you submit your application through our career portal, we're also doing this virtually. We do have, we try to also utilize the technology that we have. Through MS Teams, you'll have your initial interview, your hiring manager interview, and then you'll have your assessment, which is also about an hour. Technically, with our assessment, you'll have a feel of what you would be doing once you are with Legato.
All right.
Once everything's cleared, we then give you the offer, the, the job offer. So yeah, well, we're trying to squeeze it in within 24 to 48 hours because we know that your time is important, right? And sometimes, it's the waiting of what the results are, which makes us very impatient. So we try to understand that and we try to give out the results as soon as we can.
Yep. Thank you so
Right.
much for that, Miss Myla. And yeah, it's really great to hear all of the opportunities that is allotted for the young talents right now. And moving forward for our last question before we proceed to our speaker session or a question and answer portion, if there will be any, for in one sentence or a phrase, please, why will the candidates should apply in your organization? What makes you different? So in a very short sentence or a very short phrase, what can you say about it? If I may start with Sir Aldrin, please.
I would answer it by three words. Earlier, I talked about 3 C's, 3 R's, and now 3 P's.
Three P's.
So it's something perhaps that the applicant may be able to find in the medical city. That's, again, pleasure, pride, and purpose.
All right. Wow, pleasure, pride, and purpose. That is really deep words in terms of a lot of different meanings, I guess. And yeah, go ahead, Miss Myla. How about you?
Okay. So what sets us apart? You might say that we're also a BPO, but we're not. We're actually a captive company. We only support Anthem in the US. Anthem is one of the biggest healthcare providers in the United States. Uh, if you're familiar with Fortune 500 companies, we're part of the Fortune 500 companies. We're in the within the top 20. So for a company to be part of that list is really a big deal. There are only a few companies in the Philippines that would be able to say that, hey, our mother company is part of the Fortune 500 companies. So when it comes to learning, your outreach also, and not being limited to what you have learned in the four corners of your classroom, then yeah, Legato might be the one for you.
All right. How about you, Miss Victoria?
Well, Shearwater Health is a global company that provides global experience and opportunities at the local scale. So for graduates who are looking into working for and having an experience in a global setup, and you will be looking for a role that somehow would help you prosper here locally or abroad. We are a company who provides that experience.
All right, thank you so much for that. And I believe that will conclude our panel session, our final discussion for today. And young talents, we remember that Sir Aldrin's why would you apply for Medical City? It's always for the pleasure, pride, and the purpose. We have for Miss Myla being a captive company and one of the Fortune 500 company, and for Shearwater company as a global working in experience, looking for a role with an eagerness and looking forward for that challenges, and being part of that organization would really be something to look forward to. So we will be moving on now to a speaker session. We don't have any questions for our candidates for today, but I'm sure that there will be some questions by the end of our each session. Hold on, I have some questions here. I have a question from anonymous attendee. I am currently confused to what career path I'm going to take. If it's either I continue on the finance path or medical path. My only concern with medical path is the longevity of it. Any advice po? I'm kind of in the middle of passion of practicality. So I will leave this to be answered by Sir Aldrin. If you could answer it, please, sir.
Well, of course, the basic would be follow your heart in terms of what's your interest. Is it on the finance or in the medical field? So mainly in healthcare, there would be a combination of the high tech and the high touch. So in terms of sustainability, that will come in both. Equipment would be very important to enable the professional to help diagnose and treat the patient. But at the same time, you have the high touch, meaning that relational side. If you want to do a lot of communication, a lot of collaboration, a lot of patient care, then the medical field would be an advice that you can pursue.
Right, great. I hope that that is a really good answer, and I hope that answered your question, Miss Anonymous Attendee. And we have another question from Miss Fea, Denise Feliciano. Do you look at the transcript or grades of the applicant? If yes, does it highly affect the chances of getting hired? Would you answer this, Miss Myla, for me, please?
Well, I would have to say that yes, we would be looking at your transcript of records, especially when you are going to be applying for our clinical roles, right? Although there might be several factors on on why it is such it is. I'm assuming, right, that there would be people who are concerned about their grades because they weren't able to do well.
Mm,
But there are several factors. And like I said, when you're a fresh graduate, we also look at things that are beyond what's on paper. Your ability to build relationships
mm,
and perform, and your eagerness as well. So we look at it, but from my perspective, we would be evaluating your application based on your potential as well.
all right. And another question we have here is, has there been any considerations in hiring fresh graduates from the enhanced virtual mode? I'm not sure what you mean by enhanced virtual mode, but in terms of an insight, if you could answer this for me, Ms. Victoria.
I assume the question, if it's in relation to
The
working from
recruitment
home, I
process,
suppose.
I guess.
Perhaps the recruiting
Enhanced
process
virtual
as
mode.
well.
Yeah.
So we have improved the process already, where we can really connect with our candidates virtually. So we conduct pre-screening virtually via our chatbot. Exams can be done online. You don't have to be on the site to take the test. Interviews can be done via video or via phone. And I think that also applies with the rest of our panelists here in terms of the recruiting process. So we have moved to a virtual process, not just for fresh graduates, but for candidates in general, because we want to be able to connect with them right away, without having to, for candidates, without them having to wait for that phone call. We can reach you via Facebook Messenger, via Viber, email. Email is back, people. So you would really have to make sure that you are well connected as well, because apart from that phone call, we can actually reach out to you via email. We can also reach out to you via Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes, I guess so, because enhanced virtual mode has a really vague meaning to that, you know? So another question that is really good is, good morning from anonymous attendee again. Would it be better for graduating students to start applying for companies of such as prestige companies such as yours before or after passing the board? If I may, if I could address this to Sir Aldrin, please.
Well, you can apply, but again, in terms of following regulation, you need to be licensed to be able to practice your profession. You may be hired not as a professional in terms of, say, a pharmacist doing pharmacy work. You can be hired as a pharmacy assistant or a pharmacy aide, because again, we follow basic regulation of the land. So it's very important that you have to have a license to be able to practice your profession. But again, that would be good also in a way that you become familiar with the culture of the organization, because that is an important consideration for you to continue, as I mentioned earlier, about job fit, about finding your work to be your second home. So having a feel already of that culture would be an important consideration for someone that would be in that particular organization.
All right, thank you so much for that answer, Sir Aldrin. And another question for me here is, are there any positions po na open for individuals na hindi pa graduate and wala pa pong experience sa work but may exposure na po sa hospital field since required po sa high school? So can you answer this for me, Ms. Mayo?
Okay, so when it comes to looking for a job, at least for Legato, there are two things. One, we accept undergrads, but we would need you to have at least 6 months experience in the BPO setup. Or sorry, 1 month, 1 year experience. For fresh grads, then we don't need experience. So this is as much as I want to take you in, whoever you are, there are certain thresholds that we're also looking at. So yeah, undergrad, 2 years of college, but we would need at least 1 year experience.
All right. So now actually the student or the candidate from the one enhanced virtual mode just answered that what he meant in terms of enhanced virtual mode is that it is a graduates with only online internship experience. So that is what he meant by enhanced virtual mode. So another question, I guess this will be the last question for us today. Good morning. I'm currently a second year medical technology student, and I'm quite not convinced about abandoning the practice of medical technology, which is what are we studying for, in favor of applying for a BPO company, which will I assume is more on the business side. Can one of the panelists change my mind? So can you answer this for me, Ms. Victoria, please?
The question was, he's in between abandoning the practice.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Yes, and going through a more on the BPO setup, which I guess he assumed that is more on the business side. So yeah, can you? Do you think you will be able to change his mind or support his goal?
I would want to leave it up to the candidate of his decision, but I go back to the first question where there was a question about if the person wants to go through the finance or medical path, and Sir Aldrin said, just follow your heart. I will have that same question to the med tech student. What is it that you want? Because if you are torn between practicality, because usually practicality is a question of abundance. It's that fear of not having enough. That's why you want to be able to just grab on that opportunity, because that's the more practical. You will earn right away. But I guess for me, I've been in the industry for so long, and I would choose what I would want to be, because that abundance will come after. The work that you do will enable you to reach to that goal. But then if you're just right after the money, what is the commitment there? What really are you doing? Aside from just earning the money. And right now, that's really important. While it takes hard work, because it really takes hard work to get to the point wherein you would have that ease of having a really good career, whether it be as a medical tech student or being part of the BPO industry. It's the same. Choose what you feel is what you will be good at, what you can improve on, what you can contribute to the industry, to the organization, and what it can do to you. Take away that bias of thinking, how much will I earn? Or, it's really what you can do. That's what we pay you for, that skills. We're not paying you because of you just want the money. So I'm not gonna change, or I'm not in the position to change your mind, but it's something for you to think about. What do you want to impart? What do you want to impart? Not just earning, but as a person also, what do you want to achieve? Really, 5 years from now, would you still have that question? Abundance comes after. It's hard work first.
That's a really good answer. It's a really good feedback in terms of answering that question. Know for yourself and decide for yourself, I guess. And it doesn't matter where you go. It's a matter of what your goal is. So yeah.
Zab, is it okay if I
Yes.
also add to that?
Go ahead,
So,
please.
yeah. So I have been in this kind of industry for the longest time. And with Legato, we only started in the Philippines 2019. So there's still a lot of things that we would be adding to our portfolio in the Philippines. But in my previous organizations, we were able to evolve, not just being in a customer service, but being in a virtual hospital. So our nurses and our healthcare practitioners there would actually give me feedback that it's like being in a virtual hospital. They're still able to see the charts. They're empowered to make suggestions. There was also a time when I hired a class of doctors. So these are already professionals. They are already internal medicine, ER doctors, right? And they still wanted to look at this type of industry just to enhance whatever it is that they learned from the hospital. I met with one of the doctors who actually pursued further studies. And what he said is that he actually improved how he practiced medicine because he was able to learn something that is not the norm in the Philippines, and he was able to apply it in the practice. So I'm also not trying to convince you to join the likes of Shearwater and Legato, but there are things that your school, the local industry, and I have so much respect for the local um, healthcare industry, right? But it's really going beyond and getting to know what else is out there, um, and something that is readily available if you so decide.
Thank you so much for sharing that story, Miss Myla.